Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days in today's second video. This takes us to around the 16th of July, so we're just going into the second half of the month now with the week to 10 day updates. So we know it's really hot at the moment, hot and dry. It's been hot and dry for several weeks. We've got more hot and dry weather to come. In fact, it's going to get even hotter as we go over the weekend. I'll take you through some very hot looking temperature forecasts from the Arpège model that showed up this morning in a second. As we go into the second half of July, there's just a few signs beginning to creep in that we might start to turn things a little bit cooler and maybe a little bit more unsettled into the second half of the month. That's showing up in GMA Friday. You can find that video that we did earlier here on the homepage. Just scroll on the page a little bit and it's above the polling count. So there are just a few suggestions now that we might be starting to see signs of turning a little bit more unsettled change for the second half of July. Nothing particularly alarming showing up yet, just a bit of a change compared to what we've had so far this summer. But have a look at that and see what you think. We'll see whether the shorter range GFS, ECM and GEM models are showing up this change into the second half of July as well. But before we begin, I've got to give a shout out to a couple of people. So I'm going to say a big thank you to our latest patron and patrons. So I'm going to say thank you to Lee Cunningham, who has become the latest patron for Gazovitz. Lee's girlfriend Carrie Deary signed him up as a patron yesterday, and they alerted me on Twitter that Lee has become a patron for Gazovitz. So our latest patron, Lee Cunningham, and his girlfriend Carrie Deary, big thank you to both Lee and Carrie for becoming patrons for Gazovitz. And if you want to become a patron for Gazovitz yourself, what you have to do is come to our Patreon page. So I'll leave the link in the description box at YouTube. We link to this page on all the pages at Gazovitz. So just come here, sign up for a Patreon account, and then you can make a monthly donation for however much you would like. And by doing that, you become a patron. It can be anything as little as $1 a month. And that makes you a patron for Gazovitz. You'll get a shout out in the videos as long as you would like one and you want one. We'll give you a mention and a thank you in the videos, just as we've done for Lee and Carrie. The other way to donate to Gazovitz is this way. So you can do it through PayPal. So you just make a one-off donation through PayPal. And we have had a donation given us to by Sean Mullen. So a big thank you to Sean for becoming the latest donor for Gazovitz. So you can either be a patron through Patreon, or you can be a donor through PayPal. And this is all helping us to pay for our website. It's helping to keep the content completely free of charge, so we're able to bring you the videos and written posts and everything else totally free of charge. We are primarily ads funded, but it's just an extra sort of revenue stream that allows people to get a little bit more involved with Gazovitz, members of our community, to become a little bit more involved with Gazovitz. So again, big thank you to Sean, to Carrie and to Lee for becoming patrons and donors for Gazovitz. If you would rather not have a mention in the videos, you can still donate or become a patron and just drop us a note, tell us that you'd rather not get a mention in videos. That's absolutely fine. I have had a few people that didn't want to get a shout out in the videos, and that's perfectly fine. If that's what you want, then we'll respect your wishes. So big thank you to all of our patrons, donors, and yeah, thank you to all of those still to come as well. Right, so we're going to start off by having a look at the latest observations from XC Weather, and it's turning into another very warm to hot afternoon. So come down across England and Wales, we find temperatures at High Wycombe are at 27 degrees, and the Gatwick is at 28. Farnborough is at 27, Luton is at 26, Stansted Airport is at 27, Then we come further south, let's see if we can find Heathrow, it should be around there somewhere, so that's Heathrow, that's at 28 degrees, so generally upper 20s Celsius at the moment. These temperatures will probably go up another degree or two more in the next hour or so, so I reckon 31 is potentially achievable today, somewhere like central London. That is 88 Fahrenheit. It's also warmer in the north. It was a bit cooler yesterday, but temperatures temperatures are on their way up again in the north. Strathallan is up to 21 degrees. Let's come further south to Esdelmuir, and we're up to 20 degrees there. And then we go down into the northeast of England. Newcastle is at 24 degrees as well. So it is warming up in the north, but the real heat at the moment is down in the south. However, it could get even hotter than that. So this is the arpège run from this morning from the weather outlook. These are the temperatures, and it's forecasting hour by hour over weekend. So tomorrow at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, we're already in the southeast at around 20, 21, 22 degrees. That's around 70 Fahrenheit. Temperatures are not going to drop much below 21 degrees in the southeast overnight. Tonight's going to be a really stifling night, especially so in the cities. In London, it's going to be a very uncomfortably hot night indeed. So we start off very warm right from the word go tomorrow, and there's just many hours worth of warming to go. So these are the temperatures through tomorrow afternoon, where we're going up to 32, 33 degrees there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Tomorrow in the southeastern corner, 33 is 92 Fahrenheit, so it could be very hot indeed in the southeast through the course of tomorrow afternoon. Only very, very slowly do those temperatures drop down then as we go through Saturday night and into Sunday. So these are what the temperatures are doing at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Again, very, very warm start. Look at that. We're already in the southeast at around 22, 23 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. That is a very high temperature indeed. I mean, Sunday turns even hotter. Just look at this. Very, very hot day coming up on Sunday. So by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, from the Midlands down to southern England, we're at around 32 to 33 degrees, into the 90s Fahrenheit. But in the far southeast, we're actually going up to 34, and there is a 35 that's showing up there. I'll just highlight that. There's only one, but there is a 35 showing up there across central southern parts of England. 35 Celsius is 95 Fahrenheit, so very, very hot. Temperatures being predicted for the far southeast on Sunday afternoon. Then going to Sunday night, and the temperature recedes, but only dropping back again to low 20s across much of the southeast, which means that Monday again has a very hot start. Temperatures aren't quite as hot on Monday, but even so, into the low 30s, so that's 31, 32, 33, again across much of the Midlands down to southern and southeast parts. You'll notice these eastern, far southeastern counties are a little bit cooler, and that will be the trend then through the early part of next week. After that very hot day on Monday, we will see these cooler, fresher temperatures feeding in from the east. So Tuesday shouldn't be, we can't see Tuesday's temperatures on this because that's the end of the run, but Tuesday shouldn't be quite as hot. It should be quite as hot as Monday. You'll notice at 5 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, through the Midlands, southern southeast England, it's still very warm. We're still talking about temperatures into the upper teens Celsius, but those sort of low 20 Celsius are actually being migrated and pushed down towards the southwest and being cleared away essentially by a slightly cooler, fresher air mass coming in from off the North Sea. But this weekend and Monday, looking really hot down in the south and southeast. We're talking about very, very hot temperatures indeed, potentially, if arpège is right. It's a high-res model, so it should be pretty accurate. Be interesting to see how hot it does get over this weekend. Right, these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average, and we know it's very hot at the moment. We're looking at Welshpool today in Wales, by the way. So, well above average with the upper air temperatures. Not exceptionally so, though. And given the really high temperatures that we could see over the weekend, you'd probably expect the upper air temperatures to be higher than that. But do bear in mind that when warm air is established, it just starts to feed back on itself, kind of thing. So you don't necessarily need the upper air temperatures to be all that dramatically high to get very hot temperatures down on the surface. You can almost get like an oven effect beginning to take place in these very prolonged, dry, hot spell. So the ground just gets hotter and drier, and then the air blowing over that ground just warms day by day. So it is almost like an oven, really, the effect that you can get in these prolonged dry and hot conditions. So although the upper air temperatures aren't dramatically high, it can still get really hot at this time of year if you have a prolonged spell. Particularly dry weather, because there's no moisture in the ground. There's no moisture in the ground to lower the temperature on the surface. So the ground is baked dry now. It hasn't rained for several weeks in most parts of the country. And as I say, a bit of an oven effect is at work. Now, as we go into the extended range, which takes us into the middle of July, this period just here, it looks like we keep the upper air temperatures around or a little bit above average still. We have got some cooler ensemble members appearing in this second half of July period. So again, still quite a few questions. Still, the second half of July proving to be a little bit of a mystery, to be honest. As far as precipitation is concerned, lots of dry weather for the next week. Barely any rainfall whatsoever at Welshpool. I think that's going to be pretty representative for many of us. There will be rogue thunderstorms around. I just saw a tweet a few minutes ago before I started this video saying that a thunderstorm has got going in Canterbury in the past hour. So there will be rogue thunderstorms around, but overall we are looking at another very dry week coming up. Barely any rain in the next week to 10 days. Now, from mid-month onwards, that's 15th of July, we are finding the precipitation spikes returning. And you would look at it and think it's probably turning quite unsettled into the second half of July. The only caveat I'll put on that is that, again, as I said yesterday, we are not seeing this change to unsettled weather to wetter conditions getting any closer. So it's still being kept around this sort of period from the 15th of July onwards. And that's just under 10 days away. Now, so until we start to see this change to more unsettled conditions coming into the 5 to 10 day time frame, stay cautious about it. It certainly looks on all the evidence this morning that we probably are going to go into something of a more unsettled spell in the second half of July. But before I go to get too confident about it, I want to see this coming into the 5 to 10 day time frame. At the moment, it's being kept around that sort of day 10 time frame. Temperature anomalies from the 6th through to the 14th of July are looking warmer than average across the UK and Ireland. In fact, most parts of Europe are coming out warmer than average yet again. And dramatically dry precipitation anomalies from the 6th through to the 14th of July. Very, very dry indeed, with some places getting less than 5% of their average rainfall, which basically means it's going to be completely dry for quite a lot of parts of the UK and Ireland in the next week, with no measurable rainfall whatsoever. So this is how the GFS is looking for Monday. Still very hot on Monday with this high pressure dominating weather. Much of England and Wales can expect to see temperatures still into the low 30s Celsius. That's Tuesday. High pressure is still dominating, so it's still very dry. The only difference is that around the edge of this high pressure, we're starting to feed down, particularly across England and Wales, some slightly cooler and fresher air feeding in from the North Sea. So it should be a little bit more comfortable after what will be probably quite an uncomfortable 3 hot days on Saturday, Sunday and Monday. That's Wednesday again. High pressure's in control, so there's no sign of any rain whatsoever. It's staying dry, but prolonged dry spell, you'd almost say drought, does continue. The only difference is that, again, particularly for England and Wales, a little bit more of a northeasterly, easterly flow, bringing slightly cooler and fresher air in from up the North Sea. So instead of temperatures into the low to possibly mid-30s Celsius, such as they will be over the weekend, we're probably seeing temperatures into the mid-20s, mid to upper 20s Celsius by the middle of next week. That goes through to Thursday into Friday, and still high pressure goes on, so certainly no change up to a week away. Friday the 13th of July still has high pressure dominating, dry, very warm conditions, probably warming up again because we're beginning to lose that easterly feed, so I suspect this will be starting to heat things up again quite quickly towards the end of next week. That's Saturday. Now, we've still got this thundery low flirting with France and Biscay. That wants to move up and bring us a thundery breakdown over that weekend of 14th, 15th of July. The GFS just keeps that to our southeast, that thundery low, so that's actually affecting France, moving in that sort of direction, sort of northeastwards, in towards Belgium, Holland, and Germany. So we just missed that thundery low, but it possibly is close enough to still bring some thunder to the far south. Beyond that, we got to day 10, which is Monday the 16th of July, and pressure is weakening now. We're beginning to weaken the pressure off. We're starting to get some low pressure developing out to the northwest of the country. Look what this GFS run does just beyond day 10. It actually brings an area of low pressure in across the country that will bring cloud and outbreaks of rain and significantly cooler weather as well. And then we go into the extended range of this GFS run, and it does turn really quite unsettled indeed. We haven't seen charts like that for a very long time, with low pressure just out to the west-northwest of us. Even a little bit of northern blocking starting to appear. That's not a good sign in the summer. When you get high pressure up towards Greenland, you'll normally force the jet stream and the low pressure southwards. That's what's going on there. So this particular run of the GFS does again turn things significantly more unsettled into that second half of July. But again, it's all beyond day 10. So until this comes into the day 5 to 10 time frame, stay very, very cautious about it. That's the ECMWF, dry and hot for Monday after a very hot weekend. That's Tuesday. Again, high pressure dominates, so it stays dry. The only difference is that slightly cooler air is being forced around the high pressure from off the North Sea in across England and Wales. So it will turn a bit more comfortable on Tuesday, and that continues into Wednesday as well, with those easterly winds bringing cooler, fresher air off the North Sea. That's Thursday and Friday. Still lots of high pressure dominating, so no rain whatsoever up to the end of next week. The whole of this coming week looks like it's going to be pretty dry, outside of just rogue thunderstorms that might get triggered. They'll be very hit and miss. They might get triggered here and there by the heat and humidity. We go up to day 10. That's how we look. Again, just a very gradual weakening of pressure. It's not really a switch to low pressure as such. Not at that point, not to day 10. It's just a very gradual weakening of the high pressure. So the high pressure is going up towards the north of Scandinavia. It's pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic. And this gradual erosion of the high pressure over time will probably allow the atmosphere just to start to wobble. Not dramatically so, but just day by day as we get to around day 10, we'll probably start to see more in way of cloud and probably showers beginning to develop, and they might be on the thundery side because there will still be a lot of energy within the atmosphere. And then finally the GEM looks like that. High pressure again giving us dry and a hot day for Monday, as that slightly cooler, fresher feed of air from off the North Sea for Tuesday. That will be a welcome relief, I think, after the next 3 days. Going to be really hot. And then we go through into the second half of next week with high pressure still continuing to dominate. No real changes. We do lose that easterly flow in the second half next week, so I suspect after a couple of cooler and fresher days on Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we'll probably start to see the heat increasing again next week. Still going up towards day 10. This is Saturday the 14th. Still the high pressure keeping it very, very dry. And then as we go up to day 10, we actually find this thundery low again around Biscay and France starting to head northward. So by day 10, it looks like it's breaking down. It looks like we are both moving that thundery low up from the south. That will be bringing severe thunderstorms to England and Wales. And we're also starting to see low pressure in the Atlantic beginning to move in from the west. So kind of like a pincer movement is going on there against the high pressure. It's breaking down from both the south and from the west. And I think that would be a particularly thundery sort of end to the dry and hot spell. Bear in mind the GEM isn't as good a model as the other two, the GFS and the ECM. Now, however things work out, it is going to be very, very dry, so I'll just leave you with the 5-day accumulated precipitation forecast from the Weather Outlook based on the 6 o'clock run of the GFS. So, for the next 5 days, absolutely no rain anywhere, really, in most parts of the country. You'll notice that there are sort of 4 or 5 millimeters showing up in some specific areas. They are showers that the model is picking up on. They're very localized, they're very hit and miss, and if you do get one of those torrential showers, actually you'll have a lot more precipitation than 4 or 5 millimeters. You might get up to an inch of rainfall, but they are so localized and hit and miss that the vast majority of places will stay dry in the next 5 days. The 10-day total accumulated precipitation looks like that. Just starting to show a little bit more precipitation now for some places. So Wales being forecast to get up to close to an inch of rain in the 10-day time frame. So we know it's dry up to day 5. So this is kind of like 5 days, 5 to 10. It is starting to produce some rain for Wales. It's starting to produce some rain for Ireland, both north and south. It's starting to produce some rain for western and southwestern parts of Scotland. But still really for the south, for the Midlands, for the east and up to eastern and northern Scotland, those areas, and also northwest England, so basically northern England, those areas still up to day 10, not getting any precipitation whatsoever. We know that just beyond day 10, the GFS does actually turn things properly unsettled. But until, say it again, until that comes into the 5 to 10 day time frame, stay very cautious about it. And certainly this weekend is going to be really hot, that lasting to Monday. Cools down a little bit early next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, then the heat probably starts to build again Thursday and Friday, and all the time, very, very dry. Right, the weekend forecast tomorrow is going to be another very warm one. Come back for that tomorrow. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.